Boys and girls, welcome back. We are going to continue today with writing. And oh, how I love to write stories about things that's happened to me and to read your stories or listen to your stories about things that's happened to you. We've learned to tell stories across our fingers. We learned how yesterday and the day before to tell what happened first, second, third, next, and then last. We sketched some pictures. We wrote our story yesterday. Today, we're going to learn something called tell a story words. These are words that when we add them to our small moments stories, it helps tell the story a little bit better. You should have listened to the story called Mrs. Chicken and the Hungry Crocodile that was read to you. We're going to look at some pages from that story. Let's look at this page. It says, "All right," chuckled Crocodile, "I'll fatten you up. The longer I wait, the plumper you'll get." Crocodile yawned and curled around her eggs. Soon she was snoring. One of those tell a story words that we're going to talk about is the word soon right here. Okay, that's telling us that it wasn't long before she was snoring. So soon is a tell a story word that we want to remember. Let's look at another page in the story. It says, "Every day Crocodile gave Mrs. Chicken grain to eat. Every night they fell asleep over their eggs. Mrs. Chicken got fatter and fatter. Crocodile got thinner and hungrier." Okay, so there are a couple of tell a story words here. The first one is at the very beginning, every day. That tells how often something happens. Sometimes we can start sentences with like every day, every morning, every week. Okay, and another one right here, every night. So we know that this happened every single day and every single night. That's good tell a story words. It helps the story be more interesting and connect to the sentences. Let's look at another page in our story. One evening, Crocodile said, "This is your last meal. Tomorrow will be my big dinner." "We'll see," said Mrs. Chicken. Tell a story words is one evening. That helps tell when it was going to happen. One evening is when this happened. Crocodile said this. Not one morning, not one night, but one evening. So that is a good tell a story word. Tomorrow is another good tell a story word. It tells you when things are going to happen. Okay, let's look at one last page in our story. Look at this one. Just before dawn, Crocodile felt something move beside her. Do you see a tell a story words? Yes, it tells when it happened, just before dawn. That means just before it was getting daylight. Crocodile felt something move beside her. "Mrs. Chicken," she called, "wake up! My babies are hatching." But why do they have those silly little beaks and scrawny little wings? So that just before dawn helps tell when things are happening. Okay, so some tell a story words that we might have seen in our reading: one morning, or soon, every day, every night, one evening, just before dawn, since that day, or suddenly. These are some good words that tell when things happen in a story. They're called tell a story words. Okay, I want you to think right now and think about this one right here. One morning, and see if you can say one morning out loud and say something that happened to you one morning. Okay, I'm going to tell you mine. One morning, I got out of bed and walked down the hall in the dark. Okay, you remember my story that started like that. Okay, I want you to use the word every day. And I want you to finish the sentence. Say every day and tell me something that happened to you. Say it out loud. Okay. Every day I have to decide whether to eat oatmeal or cereal for breakfast. Okay, every day is a good tell a story word. Okay, I want you, this one, suddenly. Suddenly, and tell something that happened. Think about it and say it out loud. Suddenly, I saw my dog dart out into the road. That is a tell a story word, suddenly. Now I want to look at my story that I wrote yesterday. Do you remember that story? Okay, just ignore that. That's my dog. Okay, let's continue. Looking at my story. My husband and I went to the lake and rowed our boat way down the lake. I'm going to add a tell a story word at the beginning. When did this happen? Okay, it happened one morning when we went. So I'm going to add right here the words one morning. Okay, it's okay if I didn't have room. I just kind of wrote it on the edge. One morning, my husband and I went to the lake and rowed our boat way down the lake. Okay, I'm going to turn the page. And I already have a tell a story word. All of a sudden, that's my tell a story word right there. All of a sudden, the boat stopped in the middle of the lake. I was worried because I didn't know how we would get back. My last thing. Another boat came along, hooked a rope to our boat, and pulled us back to the dock. I'm going to add a tell a story word right there. I'm going to write finally, because we had waited out there a little while and I was getting worried. So finally another boat came along, hooked a rope to our boat, and pulled us back to the dock. Now, boys and girls, what I want you to do is go get your writing from yesterday out of your blue folder. I told you to put it in your blue folder on the green side. Go get it. I'm going to count backwards from 10 while you get your writing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. You should have your writing in front of you. Now, I want you to add for me a tell a story word somewhere in your writing. You don't have to add one and have one on every page like Mrs. Wood does. Just add one tell a story word somewhere in your story. Now, let's review. It can be ones like one morning, soon, every day, every night, one evening, just before dawn or just before night, since that day, suddenly. Okay, I want you to add one tell a story word. When you're finished adding your tell a story word, I want you to record your writing. So what I want you to do is read your writing to me and record it on Class Kick. This is very important because Mrs. Wood wants to see what wonderful writers you are. Okay, go get busy.